no matter about the locks we breaking in, shots we taking it, trends we making it. Don't you chat about the pot we baking in, the rock you playing with, it's all my basically. They scared cause the bird is out. I said that the word is out, it's getting ugly, it's going. Hurts to Brown and Quest touchdown, all for the division crown.
It is about that time. It is about that time. This is your boy Joe Castro, a.k.a. Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. Today, we got my dog. I'm not going to sit here and talk junk about it. This is my dog. This is my boy, George Carmi. Excited to have him on and talk some Washington. George, what's going on, brother?
What's good, man? I feel at home right here, man. Thank you for inviting me, Joe. Appreciate it, bro.
You already know, man. This is your second home, bro. You're welcome anytime, except for this week. This week we gonna be a little bit of enemies. I feel like, and we said this kind of off air. I feel like we've had this circled since Carson Wentz signed with the Washington football team, or Washington Commanders, excuse me. But I feel like this is a game that we've been waiting for. I'm very, very excited. So we're just gonna hop right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is just how our teams are doing. So how has the Washington Commanders been doing? Are they doing better or worse than you felt? How are you feeling about your team so far?
It's been up and down, like, topsy-turvy perspective with Washington, right? Like, I think the ideal, when things came out and then over the summer with our schedule, we were hoping to walk away 2-0, right? We had the Jaguars first week of the season, the Lions week 2. The Jaguars, we kind of played up and down. It actually was a strong first half, and Carson Wentz was dealing 2 touchdowns in the first half, 14 points. He had 4 touchdowns in the first game. We kind of got that sense after walking away week 1 that, all right, Washington's kind of on the rise. Maybe they were kind of working the kinks out of week 1, and the Lions game should be a good game. We should probably win. We walk in that Lions game, we got smacked. We got smacked 22. We're down 22-0 in the first half. It looked real ugly, real fast. But then our offense kind of showed a little something in the second half and started to kind of rise up a little bit. So, I think we're a little bit discouraged, especially watching the Eagles play against the Vikings. They had a pretty good game last week, and things are looking pretty sharp. So, it seems like a really competitive matchup coming up. But I think we're a little bit discouraged, but also optimistic. I think our offense looks a little sharp. I think our defense is kind of disappointing. And that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of a wait and see approach with Washington, and we kind of hope we get things right for you guys this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles you kind of said it, we looked good. The first game kind of was up and down. Detroit is no joke. I think a lot of people are kind of waking up to what Detroit can be this year. I wouldn't say they're a, contending team, but they're a lot better than they were last year. We looked good in that game. Obviously, the second half was a totally different game. Then again, the Minnesota Vikings game, we blew them out in the first half. Second half was kind of, again, a different game. Defense did their job, so we won that game, and that's beautiful. Washington is a big game for us. I like where we are headed. The Eagles right now look very good, right? It's something that a lot of Eagles fans thought could happen. We all thought that this could be a way better team than last year, and I think that they're showing that, especially on offense. So I think that the offense is where we're going to kind of lay our hat. That's really, which is weird to say. I feel like the Eagles have always been a defensive team, and how I feel about Jalen Hurts. So to sit here and say it's all on our offense is kind of weird to me, but that's kind of how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. You guys look pretty good. I think I was listening to, we have a guy named John Keim. He does ESPN podcast. It's great content for us. I think your main guy is Tim McManus, and he basically was talking about how in Philadelphia, this is like the ideal start for you guys, right? So coming into the season, you thought that maybe quarterback would be the biggest question mark for y'all, but basically, what's up, Hawk? But basically what happened was, Jalen Hurts actually playing pretty well. And, it was a big confidence boost to do it on Monday Night Football against the Vikings, who a lot of people think are a great, dark horse team this year. So, it looked good. I mean, Hurts looked like he was, decisive. He could improvise. He just seemed like he had it going on. So that's definitely got my eyes open going in this week.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because obviously you have the two people that are at odds. I think the picture does it, very well justice. I think that this is going to be very interesting. So I want to talk about key matchups. I'll kind of start with the Eagles, if you want to take, obviously you're going to take the Commanders. I don't expect you to come on here talking about the Giants or something, but
exactly.
I think the Eagles, the matchups are very simple. I think that it comes down to us defensively stopping your 2 wide receivers. I think that you got really good. Jahan Dotson's had some good games. You know, Terry McLaurin is Terry McLaurin. It is what it is. You've gotten a lot out of Curtis Samuel, who I think it was like, what, 2 years ago now that you were on the show and told us you were going to get him. And now,
100%. I remember that. That was funny.
Yeah, it looks like he's finally
coming
what
on.
you guys exactly. Yeah. So I'm actually starting him this week in fantasy. So it's kind of a weird situation there. But you guys have a good wide receiving core. And I said this against the Minnesota Vikings. I do feel confident in my cornerbacks. I do feel confident in my secondary overall, but we still have to stop you. I think that you have a good running game, but I think that you're going to try and exploit the pass game because you have a quarterback that wants to air the ball out. So I think it comes down to our defense, again, just being stout and stopping you. I have full faith that this offense is going to score. We'll see how many they need to score, but I have faith in the offense. I just need to see the defense kind of go out there and push it. So what key matchups are you looking for as far as the Washington Commanders?
I think you basically nailed it. That's exactly, it's like a mirror image of each other, right? So I think going into the game, I am confident in our offense. I think our offense can do a pretty good job. And instead of having 2 wide receivers, we actually have 3. I think we have one of the better wide receiving cores in the entire NFL. We have Terry McLaurin is pretty solid. You know, I would say he's more like in that, you know, wide receiver 9 to 15 range. He's kind of upper tier, you know, over there. Jahan Dotson he's right now, he's a front runner for offensive rookie of the year. He has 3 touchdowns already in 2 games. He actually benefited from Terry McLaurin kind of going through contract negotiations over the summer, because while Terry was kind of holding out, Jahan Dotson was eating during training camp, and you're already seeing that, like, that chemistry already being developed going into this game. And then Curtis Samuel, man, we basically unleashed him, and that was a surprise to me. I'm not gonna be like talk trash or glued or anything. He only had 5 games last year. He had like less than 20 touches all of last year. He comes into week 1, and we're like, is he even going to play? Like, what's happening? Because he basically had core surgery and a groin injury. And we're like, what's going to happen? And then we see him like 12 touches in the first half. Like, they were like feeding him with they were running the ball with him. They were throwing the ball with, like, he basically was like Deebo Samuel light over here. Like they do like diamond formations with him in the backfield, like running routes from the backfield. It's actually pretty awesome. Like, it's fun to watch. And Scott Turner, as our offensive coordinator, is on the rise. So yeah. I think our offense has a lot of potential because Logan Thomas is a pretty good tight end. J.D. McKissick is a good third down back. Antonio Gibson's pretty good. And our best running back this offseason was Brian Robinson. But I don't know if you guys heard in Philadelphia, he got shot, and basically he's on the non-football injuries. He won't even be back till week 5. So that second matchup will be even more interesting, I think. But I think our offense looks pretty sharp. My concern, as you kind of alluded to, is our defense. Like, that's biggest. I mean, Joe, you and I have talked about it all off season. Like, from the national perspective, people that kind of like, you know, NFL Network, just kind of see Washington from a macro perspective, that the D line's excellent and whatever. I knew this. I knew that our defensive line was solid, but not necessarily dominant, right? Like, they are a good pass rushing defensive line. Like, they basically are getting sacks and generating it, but they're really weak at the run stopping, which is awful going against you guys because you guys are strong against the run. I think we gave away 6.7 yards per carry against the Jaguars, 8 yards per carry against the Lions. DeAndre Swift was blowing up on us. So if we're doing that against the Eagles, it's not going to be a good look. So I'm worried about our line matchups because you guys have a stout offensive line. And then we have to tackle in the open field because I do think you guys have explosiveness. Like, I think Devontae Smith, he's going to play in the slot, and that's our weakest position, and we can dive deeper into that. But him being in the slot, he's going to exploit it. We faced Christian Kirk, we faced Amon-Ra St. Brown the last 2 games, and they had big games against us running from the slot. So I can see Devontae Smith thriving there. So we just have to tackle in the open field. We have to play good defense, and it's going to be interesting because there was confusion last week, and that's been the talk in DC. Is Jack Del Rio, is he past his prime? Is Jack Del Rio, outdated with his schemes? What's going to happen? And I think Philadelphia, you have to play uber discipline because you guys have so much window dressing with like the read options and Jalen Hurts running around. We have to play discipline. So if our defense plays well, I think it's going to be an awesome game. If our defense plays poorly, it's going to be, I'm going to be in the stadium with a freaking head in hand, pissed off watching this game. It's not going to be fun at all. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up because I'm kind of the same but exact opposite, if that makes sense. If our defense plays well, I don't think that you guys stand a chance. And that's not me being, facetious or anything. I really do feel our offense is going to put up points. It's about our defense being consistent. Now, if our defense doesn't play, I think it'll be a very close game, maybe a shootout. Now, the person that's going to, be the guy that's going to be shooting out for you, we obviously have our shooter. You have our old shooter. He's like, what was those old? Let me not even talk junk about Carson. I'm not going to do it today. I just want to know.
Do you, man? Do you? Go ahead.
I've done it for like 2 years, George. I got to get over it.
That's all good.
I want to know, has Carson thus far, because he has been putting up good numbers, and I'm not watching every single game of yours. I'm not watching the all 22, so I can't break it down, but the numbers look good for Carson right now. So in your opinion, and I've even seen you say on Twitter that you are a Carson fan, you're behind him.
I am.
Do you feel he's been a liability for this team or an asset thus far?
I think it's been an asset. So first and foremost, what's with the Rashad in the chat? Rashad, my boy from Panther Nation podcast. He put me on, Joe. Good people.
Yes,
I love Rashad. He's good people. So what's up, Rashad? So, so going back to Wentz, I love the guy, man. So I know it's kind of like a hot take in Philadelphia circles, but he is one of the better quarterbacks we've had in a long time. And I think people neglect that. Like, Joe, I put in the work. I love his team. I follow it every single hour, every single day for years now. And I think he's probably the best quarterback we've had since Kirk Cousins, to be honest with you. I know that might be like, who cares about that? But Kirk Cousins puts up numbers and he can move the offense.
Definitely.
Right now, we are, look it up. Washington is the number one team in the NFL for explosive plays. We have the most 20-yard plays in the NFL, and that's as a result of Carson Wentz. Like he is as advertised. He can be inaccurate, where he basically will throw the ball high or maybe out of the reach of a wide receiver, or hold on to the ball like a second too long. But at the same time, he does offer that high upside flexibility to kind of take it to that next level. And I think that's kind of what we haven't had. That we've had Alex Smith was checked down Alex Smith. We have injured checked down Alex Smith.
Yeah.
We had Dwayne Haskins trying to figure himself out. We had Case Keenum. Taylor Heineke was kind of like a up and coming, he was a backup number 2 quarterback. We actually have an athletic 6'5", 240 quarterback that throws the ball down the field. And this an indicative point of this was we're down 22-0 against the Detroit Lions. We come out in the third quarter. I think it might have been like second or third down. We're on the ropes. Carson Wentz buys sometimes, throws the ball 43 yards down the field. Jahan Dotson brings it down. We're already in scoring range. We score 2 plays later on a 25-yard pass to Curtis Samuels. It was like 6-play, 4-play touchdown, series that doesn't really happen for us. So it's like, 2 games, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks. And it's not awful, but the picks they come. I mean, that Jaguar game, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys saw it in Philadelphia, but it was like 2 picks back to back. We're like, oh crap, this is the Carson Wentz that we're hearing about. So I was scared about that, but it's starting to look pretty good. And if he can maintain this, I'm all in. And I don't know, I feel like Carson Wentz, he got a bad rap coming out of Indianapolis, and I love rooting for people that are underdogs. So I'm rooting for him, man. I'm all in on him.
Yeah, I said it online, and I'll say it again, man. If at the end of the day, when he comes to Philly, I'm going to give him a 5-minute golf clap, because I have nothing but respect for what he did for Philadelphia, what he brought to the city. He was a big part of our championship, and I would be a liar. I would be a straight up liar to sit here and say the man doesn't have talent. There's obvious talent there. But one thing he did say, and he did say this, coming out talking to, I think it was John Clark or somebody like that he felt he was a bad teammate in Philadelphia. He felt that there were some things he could have done better as a teammate, as a person, as a quarterback. So I want to ask you, going on your team, because this is an emotional game. Any way you want to paint it, there's going to be players on the Eagles side that are looking across at Carson and are going to either feel some type of way in a good way or in a bad way. And, I know Carson Wentz is probably going to feel the same type of way, but I want to know about your team. Does your team have his back? Is this going to be a type of game that you feel the team is just going to rally around him and try and win it for Carson Wentz?
I think they are. I think they really are. I think the one thing that kind of changed with the dynamic with Carson Wentz is he got older, right? So when he was with you guys, he was right out of college, 22, 23. He was a young buck at the time. He was a rookie at the time. He was getting to the keys to a franchise, a big trade for you guys to become the leader of the team. Now he's kind of maligned. He's been on his third team in 3 years. He's 30 years old. We have the 7th youngest team in the NFL. I don't know if you guys know that. So, he's brought it up a couple of times where he's like, I feel old. I walk in the locker room and I'm trying to like relate to people, and it's like they all like trying to go to the club and party. I'm just trying to like I have 2 kids, just trying to go home and cook. Like he's actually said that during press conferences, and like I know like what he's done is he built relationship with his offensive line. Like Charles Leno, our left tackle, he's about the same age as Carson. They come over for barbecues. They have family get-togethers, and I think they do like Carson Wentz. He said all the right things this week. He hasn't played the emotional card. He hasn't seen it yet. We'll see how it transpires on Sunday. You never one pick and it starts spiraling. We know it's more than what we see, but like he's saying the right things and doing the right things. He's acting like it's every other game, but I think Washington's kind of lucky that the fact that we're playing at FedEx first. At least started off Jalen Hurts, Wentz in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field. That would have been wild. I mean, it's gonna be. I think we have a Monday Night Football game or Sunday night. We have a primetime game with you all at that game. That's gonna be wild. But I think he's gets to kind of dip his toes in the water now, so he should be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, Eagles fans, we love to travel. So I'm sure that there'll be a lot of green in that state. Are you going to the game?
Hell yeah, season tickets. I'd definitely be at the game. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
Anybody that's watching this, if you're an Eagles fan, you see my guy George out there, buy him a drink from me. Let me know. I'll cash app you the money. I promise. This is one of those games that I feel like the Washington Commanders can definitely make a statement about who they are, and on the other side, the Eagles can make a statement about who they are. This is a big game in my opinion. I'm excited for it. So we look beyond. We had to talk about our quarterbacks. It is what it is. But if I'm being 100% honest, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think the quarterbacks are going to be the ones to win or lose this game. I think that there's going to be matchups outside of just the quarterback. That is going to be huge. So I want to ask you, what matchups are you looking at, or not what matchups, excuse me, who are you looking to step up for Washington? Who, I'm not even saying has been bad, just who do you think needs to step up in order for you guys to come out here and go out there and take the dub against the Eagles?
So I don't know if it's the cop out. I'll start off with this one. If you don't like it, I'll twist it up. But the offensive line, dude, I think our offensive line needs to step it up a little bit. So walking out, so week 1, our offensive line after week 1, we were the 3rd rated pass blocking offensive line in the entire league. I know it's so early, but after week 1, but Carson Wentz had all day, and I was at that game. I was like, man, this is fantastic. With all day, Carson Wentz, he's an athletic quarterback. He can basically, he's a seasoned veteran quarterback. He can dissect the defense if he has time. The Lions game, man, the Lions came out like, Dan Campbell freaking trying to bite ankles or whatever he said, bite kneecap. They came out pissed off. They're blowing up our offensive line. We didn't even cross the 40-yard line in the first half of the Lions game till I think like 3 minutes in the second quarter. That's how we couldn't even get we were getting smacked in the first half. That's why like Washington's hurt. Like we're wounded right now. The fan base were like, damn, like we can't even talk smack because that last game was so wild. But like then in the second half, whatever they did, max protection or whatever it was, we started dissecting. We got within 7 points. We were down 22-0. We were like we could have potentially like tied the game, but a couple more errors in our defense let us down. So if our offensive line can hold it down, I do think. I mean, Darius Slade could probably travel with Terry McLaurin. So I think that might kind of wash each other out there. But Jahan Dotson on your slot guy, I don't know if Bradbury's going to move to the slot that game. But like, if he does that, then we have Curtis Samuel still there. We have Logan Thomas. We have J.D. McKissick. Like we have weapons this year. Like Washington has a pretty good offense. Just can we have time to protect them?
I respect that, and I'm glad that you brought that up because it's funny. Last year, this would have been, well, maybe not last year, but the year prior to that, this would have been a totally different answer. But I'm going to say our defensive line has to step up. There's been plenty of games, not last game. We didn't get as much pressure as we maybe should have, especially because they were a little bit beat up on the offensive line, which I think you guys are as well, which we'll get to. Yeah. But our defensive line has not been great in the run. They were last week, which was a good sign. But they haven't been great in the run and consistently good, right? Mm-hmm. And they have not gotten consistent pressure. I need to make sure that Jordan Davis isn't getting blown up off the line. I think it's a little bit overstated. Let's seen like maybe one or two.
So I don't want to interrupt you guys. I know you're in your flow. Talk about your defensive line, but talk about Jordan Davis because I want to hear about him. Is he dominating? Is he doing well, or is he getting blown up? I heard when he comes off the field, that's when you guys get beat up a little bit, right? That's what I'm hearing. But go ahead.
So the first game against the Detroit Lions, the stat was like we were under 3 yards per rush, or defensively. We gave up less than 3 yards per rush when Jordan Davis was on the field, compared to like 7+ when he wasn't on the field. Watching the tape back, he had 21 snaps in that game. He had 21 snaps in the second game. Watching that back, I don't think he had much to do with that stat. I think that was just a kind of, I don't even say luck. Yeah, it was very coincidental. He hasn't been great. I'm going to be 100% honest. He hasn't been amazing, but there has to be that. Obviously, you're only getting 21 snaps a game, so it's hard to be great in just 21 snaps. But at the same time, he still has, it seems like he has a learning curve. He's strong, he's big, but he stands up. And you always know low man wins. So 100%. That's the one thing. Yeah, that's the one thing that is kind of scary about him with me, is that he does stand right up like half the time. So you're not going to win many battles like that. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's been terrible. Oh my God, I'm nervous. But, you know, he definitely got some things he got to worry about, but he hasn't really gotten much opportunity out there. The defensive line in general just has not been, I don't know. It's been very weird. Like I said, week 1, we were getting beat up on the running game, but then you can kind of say that was DeAndre Swift, right? Like DeAndre Swift is averaging, I think, 10 yards per run right now, which is like insane right now. He's going crazy right now. So you could just say that Swift was going crazy, and then the second game, we kind of stopped their running game to a certain extent. It just wasn't, you still saw Kirk Cousins having a lot of time. You still saw, you know, the running back finding holes here and there. It just wasn't as consistent with DeAndre Swift. So I don't know what my defensive line is yet. Like last year we were terrible, you know, so it's like we looked a little bit better in game 2. Game 1 was really bad. So I just need to see a consistent, you know, at the very least game 2. I think game 2 we're a top 10, you know, defensive line type feel, right? So if we can stay there, I'll be happy, but I don't know if that's them. That's why I feel like that's going to be what I'm going to be watching. I know what my cornerbacks are to a certain extent. James Bradbury has given up, I think, 7 yards or something like that. Like, or 7% is the QBR that he's been giving up. It's just a crazy stat. James Bradbury has been going crazy.
It makes me so mad. So James Bradbury makes me so mad, right? Because I don't know if you guys have caught this in Philadelphia yet, but like the running joke in DC is we call the Commanders the Commanthers, like the combination of the Commanders and the Panthers, because we just basically keep bringing down people from, you know, up. It's like coaches and former players and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, when James Bradbury became like loose, like there's no question Ron Rivera's going to make him a Commanther, and then basically we don't pursue him. It goes to Philadelphia and he scores a touchdown week 1, and we need cornerback depth. Like, what the hell is going on? Why did we do that? So I don't know. I guess
he's been amazing.
Yeah, I heard a good thing. So
he's been amazing. Our cornerback room has been very, very impressive. I mean, you even go to the safeties. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has been a huge addition.
That was a great addition.
Just not saying his name is a big thing, right? Like safeties, if you're saying their name a little bit too much, your defense is probably not that good. If they're making 1 million tackles behind, you know, deep down the field, that's not probably a good thing. But he's been up on the line. He's been, you know, when he was with the Saints, he was used primarily as like a slot cornerback. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's shadowing Curtis Samuels or maybe a Jahan Dotson, because we've kind of utilized him like that. But Avonte Maddox is one of the better slot cornerbacks in the league, in my opinion. So I know what my cornerbacks are. I don't think I've said that in a long time. Linebackers, I know to a certain extent they could be a little bit better, but they're not as bad as they used to be. Our defensive line is just very inconsistent. So that's really what it comes down to me. Like I said, I feel confident that our offense is going to score. It's just, can our defense, stop the offense enough time? So that's really what it comes down to.
If it's an offensive game, that'd be a lot of fun. So just to kind of close up on the matchup, like whole like circle right there, our defense is kind of what I'm worried about. Like I think our offensive line's a little bit beat up, so it's kind of interesting to hear your defensive line is kind of struggling too. Our offensive line, we'll see how it plays out. Our center is out for several weeks. Chase Rouillet, he basically hurt his ankle. There's a Wes Schweitzer, who basically pinched in last year. He's a good run blocking center, not necessarily a great pass blocking center. So he'll probably be facing Jordan Davis, right? Jordan Davis has more of like a 0-3 technique, almost up and down the middle. So, so he'll be there. Our guards are okay. I think our skill position on offense are great. Our cornerbacks are solid. They're like B's. I think it was like Kendall Fuller. You might know the name. William Jackson came from Cincinnati. Is pretty solid. Benjamin Sandus is an up and coming cornerback. They're solid. Cameron Curl is one of our better. You and I always talk about number 31. He's actually he's a great one of our like rising stars on defense. It's his first game back after breaking his thumb from the offseason. So he's coming back. So that should be good for us. And then 22, Derek Forrest had a great first week where he was like, I think he was the highest rated defensive player in PFF, like 91.4 after week 1. But then last week had a kind of a downer game. So our linebackers are susceptible. That's kind of what I'm curious about. So 52, Jamin Davis, he is a rookie from Kentucky. Him and Jack Del Rio have kind of been butting heads a little bit. There's a funny meme that was going around where Jamin Davis, I don't know if you saw this, but Jamin Davis put it up on Instagram. Like it was from Django Unchained. I don't know if you saw this at all, but it was like borderline. It was like kind of real bad. It was like Ku Klux Klan like talking trash to like this guy, like, being tough on somebody. It was like kind of alluding to Jack Del Rio being tough on Jamin Davis. It's kind of wild. Jamin Davis posted that too, so it was wild. So it's like. He was like, I'm just joking, but we'll see how that actually transpires moving forward. But he's an athlete, so I'm thinking he might like spy. Number 52 might spy Jalen Hurts this game. We'll see how that goes. So I don't know. We'll see. But
I'm not, obviously ever happy that somebody's injured, but I am happy that Cameron Curl is kind of taken out of this next question because that's always the guy we bring up, right? Mm-hmm. I want to ask you though, who we talking about who you need to step up for this game, but who has stepped up? We've kind of went over it with you with some of the rookies that have made big plays and the wide receivers, but who in your opinion kind of has made the biggest step this year and helped your team the most?
So, some more under the radar ones. So, Jahan Dotson, obviously, you're kind of seeing him on ESPN things like that. Carson Wentz playing pretty well. Deron Payne, number 94, our defensive tackle. He is in a contract year and he's angry about it. He basically had a great offseason where, during training camp, he was the talk of the town and everyone was kind of bringing it up. I'm not off the top of my head. I'll look it up while you're talking. I don't know how many sacks he has this year, but he's definitely been disruptive. He has in week 1, he had 3 tackles for loss. He had 3 passes swatted as a defensive tackle. I think he had a sack week 1, maybe a sack week 2 as well. So he's been disruptive as a defensive tackle. Jonathan Allen's always pretty good. As I mentioned before, Derek Forrest, number 22, has been playing pretty well for us. And Curtis Samuel, Curtis Samuel has been kind of like out of nowhere. Like it's funny, like in regard to fantasy, Terry McLaurin was like, oh, you have to draft Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel was like one of those guys on the waiver wire. He actually ended up being like the hottest pickup after week 1, and he's still continuing that. So he's been surprisingly good. So so we'll see how that goes. I think those guys have all been like contributing a little bit.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel is somebody that when I was drafting, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this guy. George got faith in him. And he's been doing good. It sucks because I haven't had him on my starting lineup. Like I've had him in the bench the past 2 weeks, and then this week I'm like, I want to start him because he'll probably do well, but I don't want him to do well. So it's like a cash 22. It kind of sucks, but
I'm with you. I'm going to start Devontae Smith this week because I have Mike Evans, and Mike Evans got suspended for freaking pushing Marshawn Lattimore. So basically, what's his name? Marcus Lattimore. So basically, I'm going to start Devontae Smith, and he's going to be in a slide. He's going to have a good game too. So it sucks, but like I got to do it. I got to win. Put some money on this. You got to put some money down. So
you got to win. You got to win.
Think with your mind, not your heart. Yeah.
I'm 2-0 in my money leagues. I have 2 money leagues, 1 free one. I'm 2-0 in the money leagues, and then I'm 0-2 in the free one, which is I guess I don't care, but it still kind of hurts. But as far as the Eagles, I mean, they're the big key players are obvious, right? Like I can talk about our whole wide receiving core. Jalen Hurts is obviously making a big step.
AJ Brown.
The AJ Browns, the Quez Watkins, Devontae Smith, they're all making big plays. Defensively, you could talk about the big names that we added. Hassan Riddick hasn't really had like a breakout game, but he's played very well. You look at the defensive line, they've done all right, I guess. Linebackers, nobody's really jumping out. I'm going to have to go with either James Bradbury or Marcus Epps because, like I said, James Bradbury has went crazy. James Bradbury is just like locking people down quietly. Everybody's keeping an eye on Darius Slay because he's the one getting the picks. He's the one getting the touchdowns. He's the one having a matchup with Justin Jefferson. But Justin Jefferson had to go against a lot of our other quarterbacks too. I think
Kirk Cousins was throwing the ball at Darius Slay. I mean, Darius Slay played a good game, but Kirk Cousins had full blown primetime meltdown. It was rough. It was rough to watch. It was. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, it's true. He should have had like 4 or 5 interceptions. So it is what it is. But you look at what James Bradbury has been able to do, and it's just been very, very underrated, under talked about. So I'm hyped about him. But Marcus Epps, Marcus Epps is going to knock one of your players out. Like I can almost guarantee, and it might be Curtis Samuel. If Curtis Samuel tries to do one of those like little end arounds or does like a little screen, and if Marcus Epps gets a sniff of that, he's going to throw all 5-10 of his body at that man. And it is beautiful to watch. He's not, Marcus Epps isn't one of those guys that I'm sitting here saying, oh my God, we got a star. He's one of those dudes that, like I say, he's going to throw his full body at you. He is
strong
going to,
safety. What position?
He's playing strong safety.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
and he's going to play. He plays a lot deep because now with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, we have, Chauncey's one of those guys. He might not blitz, but he's going to be up on one of your wide receivers, if your running back goes out, he's most likely going to be the first person they put up there. But if we're blitzing, if we're, trying to sniff out the run, trying to keep safeties up close for run defense, it's going to be Marcus Epps, and he's going to knock somebody's head off. And I love that about him. So those two people, I think, are probably the most under talked about Eagles. And, that's fine. I think that's a good thing, right? When you're talking about all your big names making big plays, big money players making big plays, that's a good thing. And then you have your role players making the plays that they're supposed to. So I have a lot of confidence in the secondary, and those two
sounds like it.
Yeah, those two. And I've never felt like this, George. I've never felt like this.
That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling.
Yeah. The last time I felt like this was like back when we knocked Reggie Bush out in the playoff. That was like the last year I really felt good about my secondary. And now it's just bad.
Washington needs to improve their secondary. I think that's one thing that goes around in Washington circles, and I'm kind of I don't know if I'm the minority on this. We spent like 4 or 5 straight years. We invested in the defensive line. We got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. We kept on drafting first round picks over and over again, and I think that was a good idea. But I also thought it was reactive. I think if you kind of look at the timeline, it was like the Cowboys got Zeke Elliott, the Giants got Saquon Barkley, so we're trying to combat that and be reactive to the NFC East. But, one of my biggest regrets is basically I love Deron Payne, but we got Deron Payne over Derwin James. And how much better would Washington have been with a freaking Derwin James, the freaking strong safety Swiss Army knife? And I wish we had that. And I think next year it's going to be our first round pick will probably be an offensive lineman or a cornerback. I think it's going to be our move next year, especially with William Jackson costing $50 million. I think he might he's been playing well, but not to the big contract that he deserves. So we'll see. I'm hopeful to see Cameron Curl come back. I think Derek Forrest is our Mike Epps. I think he's the kind of guy where he's playing his butt off. He's not an elite, but at the same time, it's you don't want to, he's overachieving, and that makes you happy to see. So number 22, watch out for him. He's doing a pretty good job.
Oh, he's number 22. Marcus Epps is number 22.
There you go.
Man.
Right there. Perfect.
Look at that. Twinning. No. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We got about 50 people in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're on my side, George's channel's link is in the description, in the chat. I can't talk. It's the pinned link in the chat. So definitely go over there. Show some love. This is my guy. This is my brother. Shameless plug. I have to throw this out. Shout out to Fanfield. They're giving away $1,000 Ticketmaster gift card right now. So if you go into my chat, I did put up the video link that will give you all the details. If you want to win $1,000 Ticketmaster, my job won't let me win, so you might as well win, and maybe you can bring me. But somebody had a question for you, and I wanted you to, before we get into the rest of this,
the NFC East one, right?
Yeah. So LT asked George, what do you think about the Eagles' prediction for them being the NFC East champions? And that kind of goes into my next question, because I was kind of going to ask you, do you think the Eagles are the bar right now for the NFC East? So it kind of merges.
So I'll be 100% objective here, right? I'm not going to be a homer or anything like that. Honest answer, I think it's too early to say, right? We only have 2 games into the season. It's a 17-game season. If you're going to ask me right now who looks like the favorite, who will probably be the favorite, I would say Philadelphia, to be honest with you. I think a large part of that was because Dak Prescott's hurt in Dallas as well. I actually was higher on Dallas than most people in most circles, because I did think that they had the number 1 rated offense last year. Amari Cooper's actually playing pretty damn well in Cleveland right now, but I thought Dallas would kind of sustain a little bit, even though they won. So we'll see. Right now the Giants are leading the NFC East. But I don't see that sustaining for long term. But I do think you guys look pretty damn good. But I think this game's going to go a long way. I think this is a big game. I think you guys are the favorites in this game, and you guys probably should be coming off of your week last week and our week last week. But if we win and we're both 2-1, we have the head-to-head. We're number one in the NFC East. That basically that's how the deck kind of unfolds. But if you're asking me honestly, I think Philadelphia probably is a more well-rounded team, especially at this stage in the season, because our defense, like, I'm really disappointed in our defense. Like, I think our offense, like, it's interesting. I think our offense is overachieving and our defense is underachieving. I'm guessing as the season goes on, they're both probably going to regress back to the mean. We're going to kind of see how that plays out. But and I do, like, going into the season, I kind of predicted Washington being like a 9 to 10 win team. I think it's still possible. We'll see how it all goes, but we'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
I will say, prior to the season beginning, I said that my bold take, I'm going to be honest, it was a bold take. I was like that. I think that the Giants are going to end up in second. You guys will end up in third, and then the Dallas Cowboys will end up in fourth.
That's very bold.
I'm right now. I'm right so far.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, hey, Who knows? I think that the Eagles are a team right now, and this is going to sound really weird to say, but we need to lose. We need to see how we act when we lose. I know that we're going to be able to win games. I don't want to lose. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, let's go lose this game just to see how we react. But that's going to tell me a lot. If we do go out and lose to you, what happens next week? How is Jalen Hurts going to react? Why did we lose? What is it fixable? Is it something that just exposes us? Like, that's what I really want to see. A lot of times you go into the season and you're like, I just want to see if this team can win games, if they can find a way to win games. I want to know what's going to happen when you have to bounce back. There's a lot of personality on this team, right? You have a lot of trash talkers. AJ Brown is not quiet. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is not quiet. Darius Slay is not quiet. Jalen Hurts himself is not quiet. So what happens when you get shut up? When a team comes out and just smacks you in the mouth, what happens? That's what I want to know. So I'm not in a position that it's like a win will really tell me that much. A loss will probably tell me more. But I think you're 100% right. I think that this NFC East is going to be week by week. We're going to continuously see some things change because, like you said, the Giants are undefeated. I doubt that changes.
Where did that come from?
I doubt that keeps going. We'll see what happens with Dallas. I mean, they got Cooper Aikman out here. They
won that game. I can't believe that. I thought they were going to lose like 5 in a row, but there you go. And we'll see. They're playing us next week too, so we'll see what's going on.
The Bengals are. I don't know.
Looking good. They look like trash this year. I don't know. I have Joe Burrow on my fantasy team too.
Me too.
Down a little bit. You let me down.
I got Joe Burrow and Russ. I'm hurting right now, man.
You're hurting, bro. Yeah, it hurting. But then that's where the NFL comes into play, bro. That's why it's so hard to be like the Eagles are NFC East champions already. Like, come on, it's like it's still week 2. Like Jalen Hurts could get injured. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Don't say that.
Whatever. I don't even want to say that, but whatever. But like he might get injured, or like someone figures out like. NFL is a very copycat league, as we've seen over the years. Someone might figure out a way to make things difficult for him. So last week, the way to beat Washington is to blitz the hell out of them and make Carson Wentz flustered, as everyone knows. And I'm sure Philadelphia's going to try that. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Like, doing some research last week, Detroit Lions don't have the dogs to be like, they don't have the dogs to match up in coverage. So they always send an additional blitzer they're like, it's basically a 0 blitz, where it's like, we're going to cover everybody. You can beat us or you're not. And like, they want to get in a track race, and that beat us. So like, maybe Philadelphia tries something like that this week, and we'll see how it goes. But maybe watch and learn something. So it's a 17-chapter book. We're into 2 chapters into the story, so we'll see how it goes.
That's a long ass book.
Long ass book, dude. I don't like it.
No, I agree 100%. Though I look at this team, and again, I say a loss will tell me more because. You look at Jonathan Gannon. I've been saying this all year, last year, all off season. He didn't change one thing last year, and this year he changed a little bit. He's blitzing a little bit more. Even though this week he came out and said that he doesn't feel that it really made a difference. He just I think he's an idiot, if I'm being 100% honest, because he basically said he didn't feel like it made a difference, even though we got sacks when we blitzed, we made turnovers when we blitzed, but that's no difference.
So major difference, but
yeah, exactly, total difference, but no difference at all. So it's just, but that's the thing with him. So it's like when somebody figures you out, like you said, it's a copycat league. When a team finally figures you out defensively, are you going to change your operation, your mode of operation? Are you going to change your MO? Are you going to change who you are in order to fix the holes that you have? And I don't think that Jonathan Gannon will. I think our offense would. So that's really what it comes down to me with that. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, what does Philly have to do? I guess we just kind of talked about that. Maybe the blitzing, is that the only thing that you think would really get Carson off his game, get that Washington out of their game plan? What does the Eagles do in order to beat you guys?
So in regard to defense, I think blitzing Carson Wentz and causing some chaos would definitely get him flustered. Washington throws the ball 70-30. That's how the percentages go down, which I love. I love it's like attacking offensive, minded team. They pass the ball 70% of the time. So I think, and that's a strength of our team. We basically need to we have a bunch of yard after catch kind of elite route runners. We don't have any big AJ Browns. We have 5'11" guys that are basically quick and can cut, right? So it's hit them in stride, do some screens with them, get the ball out of their hands, kind of get them upfield is what we're trying to do. So if Philadelphia can basically suppress that from basically happening, that would make Washington kind of in a bad situation, because Antonio Gibson, although I love him, he's kind of I kind of envision Miles Sanders like this. He's kind of more of a third down kind of he's not like a run between the tackles kind of running back, right? He's like a sweep guy, a toss guy, off tackle run kind of guy. That's how Antonio Gibson is. His knock so far is that he doesn't really see he's a converted wide receiver and a running back, so he doesn't really see the holes that well. He kind of takes two. Where Brian Robinson was when we get him back, Brian Robinson was Alabama's RB1. 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. He freaking runs up and he'll fall 4 for 4 yards every single time. So that's we're looking forward to having that back. But we would have loved to have him for this game. But if you guys can suppress our short attack, I think that will go a long way. And then one thing I'm watching for, and I just want to educate your fans as well. Washington was a big conversation where Amon-Ra St. Brown basically was Washington has a tough time covering the bunch formation. And we knew that with pregame planning. We had that under control. And actually, we saw plays, we all studied all week, all the content creators. Basically, they were 3 on one side, they all kind of stack. And basically, when it came to the one cornerback communicating with another, there was always be confusion, and one wide receiver would spring loose. So if you guys rewatch the Lions Commanders game, Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was legitimately. He was running two cornerbacks covered one guy. Amon-Ra Brown had had a radius of 15 yards, but no one near him and stuff like that. So that's why I'm Devontae Smith starting this week. If you leave him open with 15 yards wide open, he's going to take it up and run all the way down the field. He's explosive like that. Or Quez Watkins, he's an explosive guy like that too. So it's in regard to I'm curious if Philadelphia is going to test the limit of Washington, in regard to those passing over and sharing responsibilities, and has Washington improved their communication over 1 week. So it's going to be kind of interesting. That's what I'm looking for this week. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It's funny because last year, and you can probably attest to this, last year, if you asked me what we got to do to beat the Eagles, it would have probably just been make sure Jalen Hurts is passing. Don't let him run the ball. Just make sure he's passing. This year, I don't know if you can get away with that. And I'm not saying that he's 10 times better. He's the best quarterback in the world, but he's had an obvious improvement, and the weapons around him are obviously better. We are attacking the middle of the field. So I don't know if he's the key to us losing anymore. It's the run game. You have to stop this run game. I mean, it really does come down to it. We are committed. The first 2 games, it's been damn near 50-50, maybe 55, 60-40 at the most, in the favor of the pass. So right now, I feel like we're a very balanced team, and I feel like our running offense is just as lethal, if not more lethal than last year. So I think it still comes down to that. Obviously, like I said, our defensive line has been kind of getting gashed, but overall, I have confidence in my defense. So it really comes down to you making sure we're not just holding the ball. And because we are the only team, I think we have the most 80-plus yard drives out of any team in the NFL. We had 2 in the first game, 2 in the second game. I think we had 3 in the second game, if I'm not mistaken. That's what we want to do. We want to have 10 plus play drives. We want to drive down your throat. We want to take our time. And the passes, we might, bomb it. We might take a shot here and there, but the passes are going to be over the middle. They're going to be right in front of Jalen Hurts. And my light just turned off, but they're going to be right in front of Jalen Hurts. They're going to be easy, kind of like you said, they're going to be right in front of him. They're going to be short game passes. And then they're going to be sprinkled in with a run game. And then out of nowhere, boom, we're going to try and throw it over the top and hit a Quez Watkins or hit a A.J. Brown. So it comes down to that running game. If you stop our running game and force our hand into making Jalen Hurts have to come back by multiple scores, I don't know if we can do it yet. I don't know. That's really the only game plan I would go into Philadelphia with is let's try and get a lead and see if Jalen Hurts is real, because that's really what it comes down to. Is Jalen Hurts the first 2 weeks? Is that him? Because if that's him, that's him.
If that's him, you guys have a good year for sure. What I want to give the tip the cap to is for us. Like, I think Scott Turner is a very good offensive coordinator. If your defensive line is susceptible, like you're saying it is, I can see Washington just kind of flipping the game script, right? They might it'll be we had a poor film last week. We don't want to expose that again. They might do a heavy run game this week and do some interesting conversations, where they might put Curtis Samuel in the backfield with Antonio Gibson and just be completely flexible. Curtis Samuel came to Ohio State, one of the best programs in the entire college football, as a running back. He converted into wide receiver as time went on. So, and in week 1, it was 6-7 run touches in the first drive. What the hell is going on? So they might do some pretty interesting things that way. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a fun game. I'm excited about. Hopefully, it's a fun game. But I was hoping, I think it's gonna be fun. But I was excited about the Lions game. I got punched in the mouth. So let's see what the hell happens. I hope it's a good game, man. We'll see.
You're gonna temper your expectations now. I respect it.
Yeah,
respect it. Yeah, I mean, we got kind of punched in the mouth by the Lions. It's funny though, because I was watching that game with my girl, and we're watching the first half, and we're like, "Oh my God, this year is gonna be amazing." We're high fiving. You know what I'm saying? Well, I love you, baby. Go Eagles. And then the second half, I'm just sitting there with my hat low. And she's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't think
the Lions game or the Vikings game. Which one are you
talking about? The Lions game. The Lions game was two.
Who knows? Maybe the Vikings are good. Maybe the Lions are good. We have no idea yet. We'll see what happens. So
shout out to Easy too. Shout out to Easy, man, over there at Woodward.
I love Easy's cool. That's my dog. People. Yeah, I love his good people.
Yeah, I love that dude, man. He asked me every now and then for different teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And guys from their team, which Rashad was in here. I actually gave his name, so he's probably gonna hear from him. But I love putting you guys on with each other because I love his show. I love your show. I love what you guys do. So it's always awesome to kind of put you guys together. Now, for the last 10-15 minutes, I want to have a little bit of fun. Okay. I usually don't care about, over unders and everything like that, but I kind of feel like they kind of disrespecting y'all a little bit. So the first one I'm going to ask, I'm going to kind of flip flop them because I do want to get your over under opinion. But first, do you think that the 6.5 point spread is disrespectful to Washington?
So I'll touch on that in a second. I want to give a shout out to Joseph. He's one of your guys. He's basically saying subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for that. Going back to the spread, 6.5. So if you guys are avid bettors and you guys are into that whole betting game, the home team typically gets a -3 as a home favorite, right? So they're saying y'all going to be you guys are giving me 9.5 points when you're a favorite. That's a lot, dude. So, I think it's a little bit disrespectful. I think Washington has been disrespected this whole time, in both games so far. So if you look at all the national prognosticators or whatever the hell they call it, the media pundits or whatever, they said that the Jaguars were going to win. They said the Lions were going to win. Now they're saying the Eagles are going to win. So when are we going to get a favorite at all? So we'll see. 6. I mean, if you look at straight 6.5, are the Eagles going to win by a touchdown? That's not a far-fetched perspective. But if you actually use that the betting mindset, that 9.5,
exactly.
That's a little bit insulting. I don't know about all that. I think it's an NFC game, an NFC East game. I would say in terms of it's probably 55-45. I think you guys are probably likely to win the game, but 10-point up dog. I don't know about all that, man. So we'll see. I am a little bit disrespected.
Yeah, that was the same. That was the same mindset I had. It was a touchdown doesn't sound that bad, but when you really think about it, like you said, as a bettor, it's Damn, so they just think they're gonna get cakewalk. They
Yeah.
think they just gonna get walked all over.
Like 4
And
quarters, bro. Yeah, what's going on?
yeah, and we've seen it, right? Even when we had Carson, we've seen it. It goes down to the last second usually with us. So I don't see this being too much different. If we go out there and dog walk you, I'm gonna pout my chest out. You know me, I'm gonna be talking that talk. I'll be very excited.
I mean,
but I don't
rightfully so. So you guys will be 3-0, 1 on the NFC East. If you guys dog walk us too, like if you guys have a big game, I mean, rightfully so, you guys should feel very confident. But I mean, it's such a game of inches, bro. So if you guys win 3-0, you guys are NFC East leaders. If we win, we are above you in the NFC East, and we're looking pretty damn good. We can puss out of our chest. It's a big game, so we're gonna see how it goes down, man. We'll see what's up.
Yeah, we're not letting that happen. We are not letting that. Hopefully, if you guys win, this is gonna be. I'll be 100% honest, and I said this on Facebook. I thought I wasn't gonna say this on my channel or on Twitter because everybody judges what I say. If we lose to Carson Wentz, I might be very upset. Like it might really affect me. Like I've been talking a lot of junk about Carson Wentz for about a year and a half now. I need this win. I've been waiting for this.
If Carson Wentz beats y'all, like I'm pretty sure if he had like 3 touchdown game, I might cop a jersey, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be in on him for real. Like Carson, authentic. Get that stitch joint. Like, dude, fucking, there you go, man. 2-1 beating the Eagles. I'll take that. It looks pretty good, man. See what's up.
George gonna come back on the next show. Just talking about.
That's our recap show. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, George. If we lose, especially if we get our behinds handed to us, don't hit me up. Don't text me. I'm not doing a recap with you, brother. I love you, but I'm gonna be too hurt. I would be way too hurt.
I got you 100%. That's all. I understand.
Now, again, I don't really care. I'm not a bettor. I'm not one of those people that really care to bet, especially on my team. I like to bet on other teams. But I saw the over/under, and they're saying 47 points. That's not that high of a scoring game, depending on how you look at it. If you think that the Eagles are just going to blow them out, then we're getting a lot of points. If you think it's a tight game, you're talking in the 20s for both. Do you think over or under? I'm going to say over, but I think that's because I think it's going to be more of an offensive game. I think we win like 30-20, something like that.
So I think Vegas does exactly what they're doing because that sounds about right? Like the 47 is like a 27-24 kind of game or whatever it will be, 27-20, whatever it is. I would honestly go the over. Look at our offenses the past couple games. I think we have the 8th best offense in the entire NFL, and you guys are what, like 7 or 6 or something like that. Like you guys are pretty high up there too. So it's like we're both moving the ball. You guys have the 3rd ranked offense in the league, and we have the 8th ranked in regard to points scored, and not even yards. That's pretty awesome. So both top 10 offenses going into this game. So I would do the over. So 47 for sure. We'll see. The only knock on it is before you guys bet, listeners, before you guys bet, in the DC area, it's supposed to be kind of like maybe raining tomorrow. So that might throw a kick into some things. So that might be something. So we'll see. And cold, dude, we had a big, I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter. I posted, I was like, it's been like 80 all week. It's like 55. I'm wearing a hoodie right now. It's like 55 degrees over here. So it's like cold and it might rain tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
I live in Florida now, so I get, this is the time of year I get all those snow pictures, and I just get to laugh and be like, yeah, you want a picture of my beautiful sunny backyard right now? It's beautiful out here. So yeah, I feel you though.
Look at the chat blowing up, dude. My boy Steve Lim's in the chat, or Phil, one of you guys, or Dev, one of you guys. What's up, guys? Command this podcast. If you subscribe to them. Big Play Slay. What's up, boys? Some good people out here.
We got Philly Girl in here. I haven't seen Philly Girl in a minute.
Philly Girl's been active in the chat. What's up, Philly Girl?
Joey Shakes is in here. Everybody in here, man. Shout out to. I haven't gone live in so long.
I love live.
I've been so busy. I've been so busy, Joe. You know what's going on. But so last thing I want to ask, and I want everybody to give me their opinions as well. All right, I'll give mine after you because I'm gonna let you. You know, I'm probably just gonna kind of piggyback a little bit off yours. I already said kind of what mine was, but. What do you think is a score prediction? Again, like I said, everybody in the chat, give me your score prediction. We'll go through them. But what do you think is going to be the final score? Do you have Washington winning? Do you have the Eagles winning? What you thinking, George?
Oh, man. You gotta
don't hurt my heart here, George. Don't hurt my heart, man.
Let me kind of think about this, right? So it's going to be a crazy game, man. I mean, should I speak with my heart or speak with my mind? What should I? 27-24. Philly Girl's kind of on the right path right there. I kind of like that. I see the score like that, 27-24. Man, I don't think the Eagles are going to get that 6.5. That's 28-13. That's too much, Joseph. I'm kind of looking at the chat right here. 24-21 Eagles. I mean, if I'm going to be real, if I'm being real, man, I mean, I think the Eagles are probably going to win 27-24. That's kind of what I say. I agree with Philly Girl right there. I do not want that to happen. Obviously, I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate in the parking lot when Washington wins. I have some tailgating people in the chat right here. I want to hang out with you guys after the game. They're fantastic. But if I'm being real, like the Lions game left a sour taste in my mouth. I can't say confidently that we deserve to be favored right now. I think we kind of have to fight uphill, and we'll see how that goes. And I'd be pleasantly surprised if we win. I don't think. I think we are better than what we looked last week. I think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. We'll see how it goes. It's all about stopping that explosive plays, and I do think it's up to our defense. If Jack Del Rio has another falling out, and you guys smack us, and it's like 30-something to like 14. I think we might see some like major changes in DC, not like fired, but like maybe Ron Rivera taking over the play calling or something like that, because it can't be going down like that. I see you, Steve. I see you. Yeah.
I love Ron Riverboat, man. That's my dog. I love that, man. So everybody's kind of around the same. Obviously, there's some people saying that we're going to blow y'all out. I'm going to say, if I was betting, I would probably take the Eagles. I think that they're going to just squeak over that 6.5. I say it's going to be like 30-20. That's my thinking. 30, maybe 21, something like that.
Yeah.
If I had to pitch the whole game for you, I would probably say we start off very slow. I think it'll be a very close game in the first half, but I think that in the second half, we figure some things out to kind of take advantage of where maybe you are weak at. And I think that us just being the better on paper team kind of shows more in the second half. So I think that we win 30-21 is the final one. I'm going to say 30-21. That's my final score.
That's funny how we kind of we all kind of are apprehensive and know our teams very, very well, right? So for me, I think you guys are going to get up first. Like Washington always falls in a hole. However, against you guys last year, we played you guys hard last year twice. Yeah. We were up 14-0 with Garrett Gilbert in that second game. So you never know. Maybe Washington does get ahead. And from what I think I was talking or do some research for the game, you guys tend to fall down like 7-0. You guys are like, I don't know if it was only week one, but you guys always are down like 7-0 and come back. It's kind of like a Philadelphia thing. Same thing with Washington, man. I feel like we always are kind of digging in a hole. So I think if it's a bad game from Washington, I could see you guys getting up early, we coming back on this second half, but still losing. But if Washington gets up, then it'll get really interesting. And that's going to be something to keep an eye out for on Sunday. Because if Washington gets up and the crowd is not into it and Carson Wentz not being poured upon, that's going to be a fun game. I'm excited about that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, we all talk about, and when I say we, I mean me. I talk a lot about how Carson Wentz is going to be emotional for this game. This is going to be a big game for Jalen. If all reports are true about what was going on with him and Carson Wentz, Jalen is gonna want to go out there and he's gonna want to beat the guy that kind of shunned him. I mean, because that's the story. I don't know how true it is. I don't know, what happened. Obviously, I wasn't there. But the story is that Carson Wentz kind of shunned Jalen Hurts, kind of ignored him, kind of treated him like the redheaded child, whatever you want to call it. And so I think that Jalen Hurts, the only reason I think we might start off slow is because Jalen Hurts might want to come out and do a little bit too much. So that might, slow us down a little bit. But I think once the nerves calm down, I think once somebody makes a big play, we'll start seeing both teams kind of actually playing football. But I think it's going to be an emotional game. I think fans are going to be emotional through it. I think it's going to be a very, very fun game. And if the Eagles can win, man, it's going to be a fun Monday as well. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm sure you feel the same way. The listeners feel the same way. Whatever the games, I mean, at least for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it kind of affects your mood a little bit, right? You're going to be feeling real nice on Monday if y'all win. I can't deal with another losing week. I want to win from Washington. If we beat Philadelphia, it's gonna feel good. I'm looking forward to this. So we'll see how it goes.
Somebody had a question. I'm trying to find the actual comment. Dirty Sith, I think that's how he said it, wants to know, who do y'all have in the Giants-Cowboys game? I'm saying Giants, but what do you think?
I'm in the same boat, man. It's kind of crazy to think that we're rooting for the Giants to be 3-0. Realistically, the Giants are they're built right now. They got Joe Shane or whatever as their GM and Dabble as their head coach, and they have an offensive-minded system. I think, Saquon Barkley is bouncing back and showing that, injuries were the one that kind of held him back. I don't think the Cowboys can. I think Dak elevated them. I don't think they can bounce back with his luck so much. And how crazy how crazy you and I are going at it right now, Philadelphia, Washington, and the Giants are going to run away with the division. We'll see how the hell that goes. I doubt it's going to sustain, but it might be happening this week. We'll see what's up.
It was one of those years that I think everybody was injured and you guys won the division, and that was kind of when I think it was when you had RG3, no? Am I thinking of it? Oh yeah, 2020 you did it too. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot you guys did it too. But I know RG3, you guys won like 10 games in a row and made the play. That was crazy. That was insane.
I felt invincible at that time. We won 7 games in a row. Yeah, and we were up 14-0 against the Seahawks. I thought we were going to the Super Bowl. I thought we felt good, man. But tore his ACL, and like us, haven't been the same since. It's been wild, man. So
that's one of the craziest what ifs. What if RG3 never got hurt? What would he be for you guys right now? That would be insane to think about, but I think that's like a story for a whole nother podcast, George. We could probably do that for a whole nother hour. But I think we're gonna end this up. Last time, I'm gonna sell a shameless plug. If you want to win $1,000 Ticketmaster gift card, the link is in my chat. The link will be in my comments as well. George, let them know where they can find you before my freaking light turns off again. But let them know where they can find you and what you got going on over there.
Joe, thanks again for having me, man. I love coming on here. We're just freaking, just freestyling for 1 hour, and it's good conversation too. I really appreciate it, man. So thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone in the chat. A great, lively conversation. My name is George Carmy at GCarmy21 on Twitter. I write for Full Press Coverage, fullpresscoverage.com. Really, I want you guys to help me boost up my YouTube channel at Full Press Commanders. Search George Carmy if that's easier. Just find me and subscribe over there. It's completely free. I basically do some written work and I do some podcasting as well. So definitely check me out, and I'll be online. I love talking football, and I'm a pretty fair fan. So we're all good, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Yeah. And the link for his channel is in the comments. I'll definitely double check and make sure it's the right one, but pretty sure it is. Do you mind answering this question real quick for Brandon? Because that's like my brother. I just want to, I don't want, he just came in. He said, do you think Scary Terry going to get mad if passes keep going to Samuel and Dotson?
So I would say no. I mean, just to be real with you, Terry McLaurin he's the real deal, man. He basically is that workers ethic. Like, he was not like a highly touted #1 wide receiver coming into the Ohio State and not a first round pick and things like that. He's a grinder, and he's the captain of our team. And he was the captain of our team, I believe, late into I think it was his second year, maybe early into very early on in his career, like a 23, 24. And he is the consummate professional. And, he treats that locker room, that wide receiver room, like a brotherhood. And Curtis Samuel was his college roommate as well. So him and Curtis Samuel are legitimately best friends. That's why Curtis Samuel went to Washington. I think they're kind of bringing on Jahan Dotson as a little brother. I think it's kind of like we all going to eat kind of thing. So I don't see him getting mad about that. And I think I'm going to get mad about that because I have Terry McLaurin on my fantasy team. But I'm happy. I'm happy to have I'm happy. I think Terry McLaurin's that dude. I don't think he's going to basically get mad about it. So we're good.
Heck yeah, I appreciate you answering that question, man. But yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. George, you my dog, man. I got love for you, but it's about that time. All that love goes out the window.
We'll talk about it. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
We're going to talk. I might have to get you on Best of Enemies that day if you got like 10, 15
100%. That'd be fun. That'd be really cool. That'd be awesome. I love that.
All right, say less. All right, so we're going to talk to y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all. I'm going to try and go live maybe tomorrow. I don't really have much to do, so maybe I'll be back. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Goes Fly, and we are out of here. Peace.
Yeah, fly was flying on the team. Touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season head, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly.